So first of all, this is what we're going to talk about today. I have some stats about using social media for your business specifically, but in general. I also have some tips about what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. I have some ideas on how to set up a strategy for getting started with social media, and some resources as always, as well as Q&A. Like I said, we will have time for questions, so please feel free to ask those. So first of all, just some stats to take a look at. A lot of people are using social media, and that's definitely a blanket statement there, but this first stat kind of breaks it down, and 89% of people under about 30 are using social media, and 60% of people between 50 and 60 are also using it. This is one of the questions that we do tend to get a lot. People wonder if their target audience is using social media, especially if your target audience is not teenagers anymore. But the answer is yes. Just about everybody is using social media for some purpose. I know a lot of people have their grandparents on Facebook, and they're on there because they want to see pictures and updates from their families. But they are using social media, which means that they are out there and available for your business to get in touch with them. 71% of users access social media from a mobile device. That should probably not surprise you. The reason social has gotten so big is because of mobile devices, so that shouldn't come as a shock to you. But another thing to keep in mind as well is that 50% of emails that are being read today are being read on a mobile device as well. So it's good to know that your audience is there, even if they're on a mobile device. So if you're sending an email, if you're doing Facebook posts, they're going to see the information that you're sending to them. These are just a number of people using the different programs. Facebook, of course, is huge. It has tons of people using it. Usually when people ask me, should I use Facebook for my business, the answer is almost always yes. The chances are that your audience is on Facebook is pretty good when there's over 1 billion people using it. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other places that you can reach your audience as well. Twitter is very popular. Instagram is huge. There's tons of people using Instagram, and you can use it for your business, as well as Pinterest. Pinterest and Instagram being very visual social media platforms. Instagram has an engagement rate 15 times higher than Facebook, and the reason is, of course, is that people love the visual aspects of Instagram. So it's certainly something to take a look at for your business. Also, images on Facebook, of course, have higher engagement than just a text update on your Facebook page. So really, images are pretty big for doing your social. 53% of people on Twitter recommend products in their tweets. 93% of shoppers' buying decisions are influenced by social media. That's a big influence. 90% of consumers trust peer recommendations, and only 14% trust ads. So one of the things we're going to talk about a little bit today is the ROI of social media. And it's kind of hard to put a number on it, but people are influenced by everything that they see. So while they may not buy from something that you tweet or something that you put on your Facebook page, the seeds have been planted, and they will still have the ability to come to you and think of your business for the product or service they're looking for. We did a small business survey, and these are some of the stats that we got from our users. 60% of small businesses are spending less than 6 hours a week on social media, which is a really huge chunk of our small businesses are not spending very much time at all on social media. That doesn't mean that they aren't successful on social media. You can spend that much time on social and have really successful interaction with followers on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you're using. You just have to understand how to use that time, and that's one of the things we're going to cover today. More than 50% have a company blog. We have a company blog as well, so we fall into that. 35% use YouTube as part of their social media activities, which is a little higher than I think we were expecting to see for YouTube because, Facebook, all you have to do is type in something or upload a picture. YouTube, you actually have to spend some time creating a video, editing it, uploading it to YouTube. So there's a lot more involved in that. So it's great to see so many people are using videos to reach their audience as well. So some of the things that I think people run into when they're doing their social media is they think that what they need to do is just put stuff up there. They got to get things out there. They got to talk about their product or their service. And instead, they're missing out on the opportunity that social media offers, and that is to be social. So instead of actually talking with the people who are following you, the people who are your customers or your potential customers, they're just leaving information and then not interacting with them. So the important thing to keep in mind when it comes to social media is that you need to be social. Which brings up this, enough about you, let's talk more about me. So when it comes to posting things on your social accounts, keep in mind that you want the people following you to come back. And of course you need to be sharing information about your business, about what's going on, what your products or services are. But to keep people engaged and interested in social, you need to have other information. You need to have fun things or things that make them think, but not necessarily about your business or even about your industry. Sharing stuff about your industry is good, but having things that have absolutely nothing to do with your business that just kind of shows a fun or different side to your organization is really important on social media. It helps to keep people interested in what you're posting and what you're sending out there. And as I said, finding an ROI for your social is kind of difficult because most of them don't report or have any reporting mechanism on how many sales you generate through a Facebook post or through Twitter or posting a picture on Pinterest. There are statistics that you can get as long as you have a business account on really any of the social media systems. You'll get analytics so you can see what posts are doing really well, how many people are interacting, things like that. But you don't necessarily have the ability to find if you're selling anything. And maybe that isn't the point of social. You can certainly sell things through there, and I will be the first to tell you that there are people I follow on Facebook because they sell things that no one else does, and so when they post things about it, I'm hopping on their website to buy something. So there are certain things or certain people that will buy things from you because of posts that you do on your social networks. But the important thing about using social really is about building a relationship with your customers or your potential customers, and that's the thing that keeps them coming back. That's the thing that gets them to open your email every time you send an email or a newsletter. It's what gets them to interact with your posts on Facebook or on Twitter or LinkedIn, is that relationship that you're building. And ultimately, that relationship is what's going to drive them to make a purchase from you, to donate to your organization or volunteer if you're a nonprofit. Whatever it is that you're looking for your customer or client to do, this relationship is what's going to drive it. So what you do on Facebook will have an impact on that. And ultimately, it should have an impact on your bottom line as well, but you may not see it just because you're doing something on Facebook. So before you get started, a couple things to keep in mind. For the most part, I think social media can work for most businesses, but if you're in a business where you have a lot of private things that can't be shared, then you might have a harder time getting people engaged because there's going to be a limited amount of information that you can share. But even then, I think you can find some things that you can share on social, even if there's a lot of stuff about your business that you can't share. The other thing that you need to think about, and I think this is something that you need to think about in general when you're doing any marketing for your business, is what is the outcome that you're looking for in your social marketing or in your email marketing for that matter. What are you trying to get out of it? Are you going to try to drive more sales? Are you trying to get more people following you on Facebook so that you have more interactions. What is your ultimate objective for your business and for what you plan to get out of social media? You need to know ahead of time what your goal is in order for you to achieve that goal, right? So think about that ahead of time. Are your customers already on social media? The answer is yeah, but they probably are. Everybody's on something pretty much. You need to know which platform, though, that they're using. Like I said, Facebook, probably. Facebook has certainly put in some stoppers recently in the last year or so for businesses being able to reach their customers. Maybe you want to look at another platform. Maybe Twitter is where your customers are at, or Pinterest. And even LinkedIn. There's a lot of stuff going on in LinkedIn. They've made it much more social. So you can have more conversations with people. You can share blog posts. It's a lot more like Facebook now than it used to be, which makes it a little more social and a little easier for people to interact on. But, go and take a look. Take a look at what your industry is. Take a look at what you would search for if you were looking for the type of business that you have, and see what conversation is going on. Do a search on Twitter for your keyword or for your industry, and see what conversations are happening. And you can see how many people are interacting with different businesses. You can see what businesses are on there. That way you can find out where your audience is. You are not doing this by yourself. Lots of people are doing social media, and a lot of them are very happy to help you do that. So, as you get started, if you're not sure about something, ask. You can even tweet it on Twitter and say, I am not getting this, and people will be happy to help you. There are also tons of places that have resources, so you don't have to ask on Twitter, but that's a good place to go. And the other thing I think to remember is that there are other people doing this already. You do not have to rediscover the wheel here. You can go and take a look at what some other people are doing in your industry, or just businesses that you like, and get some ideas from them. And they don't have to be small businesses. I think this is one of the things that can be super helpful for a small business, is to go look at the big guys. What's Coca-Cola doing on Twitter? What's Starbucks doing on Twitter? You should take a look and see what their tactics and plans are for their social media, and take some ideas from them. They have lots of money to spend on their marketing. They can test out all kinds of things. You can go in there and say, okay, I don't have a person who's doing this. I'm going to be doing this myself. How much of this can I do? And get some really good ideas. And then just keep in mind that you can't do everything, especially if you're the only person doing this and you're trying to run your business. So you need to manage your time really well, and there are tools to help you with that. And like I said, there are people that you can get some ideas from and help from, and do what you can do for your business on your social accounts. So as you're creating your accounts and as you're trying to decide what you're going to be doing, these are some questions to ask yourself. Who is your target audience? It's probably your customers, but who are they, and what platform are they going to be wanting to use? So for example, Twitter tends to skew a little younger than Facebook does. Pinterest tends to be more women than men, but men do use it, and women do buy for men. So if you're selling things, keep that in mind. Also, it's a good platform for nonprofits. What about Instagram? You need to have pictures for Instagram, but they don't have to always be professional pictures. You can always do behind-the-scenes things on your Instagram account and get some different people following you. So think about the different people that you're trying to hit on your social, and think about where they're going to be. And again, like I said on the last slide, you can also do searches to find out what platforms a lot of people are using in your industry. And as I said, also, you need to think about what you want to achieve with your social media. What is your goal? Why are you getting on social media? Are you getting on social media to get more customers so that you can have more people to make purchases or donations? Are you there just to get the word out about your business or organization? What is it that you want to achieve with your social accounts? And then go about figuring out how to achieve that. Again, social can be something that can take a lot of time. As we saw in that stat earlier on the slide, most of the users of VR spend less than 6 hours a week doing their social media. So think about how much time you can actually devote to social, and that's going to help dictate how many social accounts that your business is going to be on as well. Because if you're going to be on there, you need to be on there and engaged. If you're not engaged, then your customers certainly aren't going to be. There are tools to help you. You don't have to do this all by yourself. There are tools you can use in your VR account. There are other tools for managing different things if you want to look at that. That can all really help with the time management so that you don't have to spend lots and lots of time planning out what you're going to be posting on social. And how will you track the results? Like I said, a lot of the accounts have analytics, but it kind of depends on what you're looking for. There are different ways to track the results. But if you don't have a goal, then tracking the results is going to become really difficult. So you're going to need to know what your purpose is and then figure out what a good achievement for that goal is, and then you can track through the analytics that you get with your accounts, or there are, like I said, there are some other tools that you can use as well for tracking things like that. So you need to build connections on your social account in order to get more people to follow you. And there's a variety of ways to do that. The first one is a pretty easy one to do, and that's to invite people that you know to follow and like your business on the social accounts. It helps to have people following you to get more people to follow you, but they also have to interact. So if they're going to follow your business, they need to like your posts or comment on your posts so that other people see them. That's the whole purpose of having them on there. So make sure they understand that they're going to have to interact at least a little bit with your business on whatever social account that they're using or you're on, so that other people see it. That's really going to be the thing that you need them to help you do, is to grow your audience on the social networks. You can share what's happening on your business account on your personal account. And for the most part, I think most people have a personal Facebook page and their business page. They have a personal Twitter account if they're on Twitter, and then a business Twitter account. So you can certainly retweet what you've posted on your business Twitter page through your own stream. It will hit different people when you do that, and you can get some more followers that way. You don't want to do it all the time because it will lose its impact on a lot of the people that are following you. But if you do it sometimes, just liking your post or resharing it, then you can get some new eyes on those posts that you're doing. You can comment on other comments. You can comment on tweets or retweet things that you like that other people are doing. If you have your own post on Facebook and people are commenting, you can comment on those comments as well. Don't leave them hanging. We're going to talk a little bit more about that too. But make sure that you're just retweeting or you're commenting, things like that, so that people are able to see what you're doing. If you're sharing pins, people can see that. They can see what business is repinning their posts, and they can find you. So by sharing things on social that aren't yours, you can bring attention to your business from the people that originally did the post, and also their audience will often see it as well. The @ symbol started out as a Twitter thing, but it's moved on to Instagram and Facebook as well. So you can tag other businesses or other people in your comments so that others can see what's going on your business page. Again, make sure it's an appropriate thing that you're doing. Don't just tag them because you can. Make sure it makes sense to what you're commenting on or you're tweeting so that they know that you're a serious business. Share other content. Again, you don't have to create everything. There are other people on Twitter, on Facebook that are sharing content that your followers will like. And that makes it really easy for you. So, follow some businesses that have that are in your industry or have similar interests or similar goals to what you're doing, and share some of their content. Then, for one, you don't have to create everything. So that's much easier for you. You don't have to come up with new content. And again, other people can see that you're sharing it, and other people will know that it's coming from this other company, but that other company can follow you as well, and they can share your posts. So it can become something that is mutually beneficial for both of you, but sharing content can be really helpful to grow your followers on social. Get your community involved. So this isn't just one person necessarily doing this. So if there are more people in your company, then have them get involved with your social activities. Have them comment, have them share the post that your business is doing. Again, so that your message is getting spread by a variety of people and to different people than you are maybe hitting just on your own. I know we do this here a lot. Our social manager will often do a post and then ask people to interact with it or share it, especially if it's something that has to do with like an upcoming release, or if we're doing like webinars. If he posts something with a webinar, I'm going to share it on my feed because, one, I'm going to be doing the webinar and I want more people to come, and two, I have different friends than the VR Facebook page has. And some of them are actually interested in coming to the webinar. So by sharing those things, I can drive more business to my company, even though I'm not the one originally doing the post. So ask people in your company to get involved. If it's just you, again, ask your friends or family to make sure that they're getting involved with it, not just following you, but they need to also get involved. The last bullet on this slide is use the 80-20 rule. And we talk about this a lot for a lot of things. We talk about it for email marketing, but it also applies to what you're posting on social. So the important thing about the content that you're putting on your social media is, again, it can't be all about you. As we talked about earlier, this is a social channel, so this needs to be a two-way street. You need to be posting things that are fun and interesting, as well as things about your business. So about 75 to 80% of what you post should be maybe something to do with your industry, but not something where you're talking about your business or that you're actually selling. 20 to 25% of your posts should just be about your business, selling your product, asking for donations, looking for volunteers. And that way, people will have a good mix of information coming from you, and they don't feel like they're getting hit over the head with a sales pitch. So once you've figured out what social channels you're going to use and how you're going to start building your audience, you need to think about the voice that you have on your social channels. Usually for social, it's a little more relaxed than what you would have on your website, and even potentially more relaxed than what you would have in a blog. Usually blogs are a little more relaxed than the formality that's used on a website. But you need to think about what your social voice is going to be, and then you need to make sure that anyone who is posting on behalf of your business understands what that voice is, and then that you keep that up. So the thing about having a good social voice is that it makes it obvious that there's actually a person behind the post. And of course, people know that there is, but having the right tone and the right voice on social can really help a lot with the people who are interacting with you on your social. Again, the whole purpose of social is to interact with your customers, so you need to have a conversation, not just talk at them. You need to interact with them on the social channels that you're using. So having things that are funny, having things where you're just asking questions or you're sharing a thought about something can be the sort of posts that really get a lot of interaction. I know on the VR's Facebook page, the things that tend to get the most interaction are the humor posts that we do. And we post some funny pictures, and people really enjoy seeing those kind of things, and they have a tendency to get shared a lot more. But then it has the little VR logo on there so people can see where it came from. So having the sort of things where people will want to interact or voice their opinion are the kinds of posts that can get more people to notice your business on social. Asking questions, especially on like Facebook, is a great way to build a community because people will start answering those questions. They'll talk to each other on your post. You can answer the questions or the comments that they have and participate as well. And I think it's really important, especially if you're posting a question, that you're in there fielding any other information that people might need or answering any other questions. Posting a question and then leaving is not interacting, and it's not having a dialogue. It's just talking at people. So make sure you're in there and answering questions. But also, again, having a good friendly voice on social is pretty important. I was trying to figure out when I was going to tell this story. I had a story to tell because today I was coming into work, and I take a train to work every day, and there was some police activity, so the trains were all delayed, and I was standing on the platform with 3 trains worth of people standing there, and I was like, there is no way we're all going to fit on this next train, and I don't know when the next one is coming because they hadn't mentioned that. So I looked on Twitter, and they have a new person doing the Twitter feed for Caltrain, which is the train that I take in, and they are very friendly. They have a very friendly tone of voice on their posts. They kind of joke with people sometimes when it isn't serious like it was today. But they're also very, very active on the Twitter feed that they're putting out. So I knew if there was any information, I would find it there. So I took a look at the Twitter feed. And yes, the train that was next coming in already had standing room only, so I knew I wasn't going to get on it. But the train after was empty, and they said, please, if you can take this train, take it. And I was like, excellent. It was right behind the other train, and it was, as they said, empty. So I found that using Twitter was the easiest way to get to work today so that I didn't have a big, horrible commute. And the person doing the posting was very, very engaged in the posts. They are, like I said, normally really friendly and kind of funny, and they sometimes joke with people on their comments. Today wasn't a joking day, but they were answering everybody's questions, and they were flying at them, and they were keeping up with everything and telling everybody what was going on. So they did an excellent, excellent job of communicating what was happening and what was the easiest way to avoid some of the problems this morning. So I think that the thing to take away from that story is, well, one, you can do all kinds of things through social media, including managing problems, but also having a friendly voice at the other end of your social account can be super helpful when people are trying to find information. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about your social voice, that really friendly and talkative and even funny can be the best thing you can do to get more people to follow. So coming up with content is one of the hardest things. I have some more examples of things later on, but start thinking about what you want to share on your social accounts. You have lots of information. Believe me, people are interested in all kinds of stuff about your business. And again, it doesn't have to be just about selling. As I said, sharing information from other businesses makes it super easy for you. And so you don't have to write the content. You can just share it. So if there's a blog that you really like, you can share that on your Twitter feed, and people can find that. The other thing is that it makes you look really good, that you are sharing this information that's really important to your audience. They don't have to go find it on the internet. You found it for them. They'll come looking to you for this type of information. So you can kind of build up yourself as being an expert, which you, of course, are an expert in your business. But think about all the stuff that you could share. And think about the stuff that's in your email if you're sending an email that you can share as well. You can always share your email on social, so that's one post down if you're sending an email. If you're writing blogs, share your blog post on your social networks. Excuse me. Any pictures you have or videos are great to share, especially if you're using, obviously, Pinterest or Instagram, but also on Facebook or Twitter. The posts that have visual content tend to do better than the posts that are just text. And Twitter, again, has made some changes over the years where posting pictures and videos are super easy now. So it's a much more visual platform than it used to be. But you can have pictures that are of your product. You can have pictures of events if you have an event coming up. You can have, like I said, behind the scenes pictures. People love to know what's going on behind the scenes. You know, if you have something, you're going to an event and you're packing up all of the stuff in crates, take a picture and share, you know, how excited you are to go to this event that you're going to. People love to see that. Like I said, sharing things that other people have created, industry white papers or blogs or things that are going to be pertinent to the people following you are all good content. You don't have to post it a whole bunch of things in one day. So you can kind of spread it out over time, the stuff that you have. And as you start doing this, you'll start finding more and more things that you can share. Have your cell phone with you. You can take a picture coming into work if there's like a nice sunrise. And that's something you can share on your business Instagram or Facebook page. It's something that people all can relate to. And then think about the content that you can also create. Is there more information that you could be creating? Are you publishing on your blog really infrequently? Do you have the time to do it more often? First of all, blog is a great way to get more people to come to your website and get your name out in the internet in general. If you're able to publish on a pretty regular basis for your blog, that also makes good content for your social accounts. And if there's more than just you working at your business, is there someone who can take pictures at your events or leading up to an event or even your new products? Doing a webinar, you can share pictures. Again, all those kind of behind the scenes things make for really good content. People love to know more about the businesses that they're interacting with. They want to know the people behind the logo that they see. So the more you can share, the more people will be engaged in what your business is doing. There's all kinds of things that can be really specific to your business that you can share. The example on here is, we're a lumber yard. What else can we share? Home remodeling stories, do-it-yourself stuff. There's a lot of things. That would also be a good place to have Pinterest boards if you're a lumber yard. There's a lot of stuff that people can use from your business that are found on Pinterest. But kind of think outside of what you normally would do. If you're selling lamps, you don't have to just talk about light bulbs or lamp shades. What else can you talk about? You can talk about DIY as well. You can talk about ergonomics in the office. Those are the sort of things that light actually has a big impact on, right? So there's a lot of stuff that you can have information about that maybe isn't just about sharing or selling your product. So there are lots of resources that can help you get started with this. So some of the things to understand is, I think one of the really important things when you're getting started with social is to find other businesses doing social the way you want to do social. And start getting some ideas from them. Share their tips. Get ideas of the sort of things that they share, just so you can see what else people are doing. It's a really good way to get inspired for the different things that you're going to be needing to do. There's lots of places to get help. These are some of the places. I have some more info at the end of the webinar. But there's lots of places to get help. You don't have to do it all by yourself. But understanding how social media works is pretty important before you start getting on there. And then you need to also have a plan. So you have an idea of the stuff that you can share. You've found where your customers are, which social networks you're going to be on. So you need to come up with a plan. So you need to think realistically how often you can interact on the social networks. You need to be just as engaged on your social account as anybody else that you're asking to interact with your business. So you need to have a plan of how often you're going to be able to be on there answering questions and how often you're going to be able to post. Now, as I said, there are tools that you can use to set up posts to go out ahead of time. That way, you can spend maybe an hour planning out posts for the next week, and then you can spend a little bit of time during the week going in and answering any questions that come up or commenting on comments that people have, so that you are keeping your social media social, but you don't have to spend a huge amount of time doing all of this stuff that you're going to be doing. So depending on your social account that you're using, there's going to need to be a certain amount of content that you're posting, whatever it is. Even if you're just adding text, it doesn't necessarily have to be a picture or a blog post every time you're posting something. But the thing is with Twitter, it goes pretty fast. That stream moves pretty quickly. So posting a couple times a day is not a problem at all. You're not going to be over saturating your audience with too much information if you're tweeting 5 times a day. It can go pretty quickly. It depends on what your content is. It depends on what your business is, how often you're going to do it. But doing a couple tweets a day is pretty regular. It's a pretty normal thing to be doing for Twitter. Facebook moves a little slower, so you don't have to post quite as often. But you still want to post pretty regularly. And Facebook, like I said, has made some changes to the way people see posts, especially from businesses. They want to make money themselves, so they've really changed it. So if you're a business, it's harder for people to see your posts unless you either pay for your posts to be seen, or you've convinced the people following you to get notifications when you post, because if they do that, then they'll know every time you do a post. But for Facebook, posting at least once a day is fine. It doesn't have to be 5 times a day. I mean, like I said, Twitter, you certainly could do 5 times a day. Facebook, once a day is fine. You could do it more often if you wanted to, because, again, people are not going to see every post you do because of the way the algorithm on Facebook works. So think about, who's interacting with what you're posting and how often you can realistically post as well. Pinterest, 3 pins per day is pretty easy to do, I think, but you don't have to necessarily do 3 every day. Pinterest doesn't move quite as fast as Facebook or Twitter moves when people are looking at their Pinterest page. The important thing about Pinterest is that you need your pins to be near the top for them to see it. If they have to scroll really far, if they're following you, they're not going to be able to see any recent pins that you've done. If they're doing a search for what you're pinning or what your business is about, then you'll come up. But you just want to make sure that you have pins coming up on that main page when people are logging into their accounts. So, by doing 3 a day, then you'll be there. You could probably do a little bit less realistically and still have your pins come up. You just need to make sure that you're also doing some interactions, just checking to see. So if you're automating some of your posts, you just need to make sure that you're logging into your accounts and checking to see if people have questions or comments that need to be responded to. If you let it go too long, even a couple days, people are not going to find that a good way to interact with your business, and they might stop following you or not be as interested or as engaged with your business as they were. So just make sure that you're getting in there regularly to answer questions. This says on Twitter to get on there twice per day to see if there's any questions. And same with Facebook. Again, those are 2 really social platforms where there's a lot of give and take for most people, so you do need to be part of that. For Pinterest, you may not have to have as many interactions as that. You can certainly go and have a little bit less. People can also ask questions on Pinterest through the messaging system they have, and also through pins themselves, so just keep that in mind. If you're thinking about doing paid promotions, and you don't have to do this, you can take a look at paying to have a promoted tweet or promoted post on Facebook, and doing a couple of those a month. They're really not that expensive. And like I said, Facebook has certainly changed their algorithm so that if you're a business, you almost have to do at least 1 paid promotion in order for people to see what you're doing. So think about doing a paid promotion. It doesn't have to be a lot. You can spend $5 and have people see your tweet, or have them see your Facebook post. Pinterest is starting to roll out paid promotions. I don't think they've reached everybody yet, but they're starting to do that. So if you're using Pinterest, you can think about doing paid promotions as well. I actually use Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pretty regularly, and I don't find the paid promotions on Pinterest to be really intrusive at all. So if you're thinking about doing that, that's certainly something that can work. I find that they're really good at pinpointing my interests, so that the things that are coming through my feed, sometimes I don't even realize were paid ones, because they're just really good at finding the stuff that I'm interested in. I find them a little more annoying on Facebook and Twitter. because I tend to see the same ones over and over again, and I'm like, okay, I've either already followed them, I don't need to see this paid promotion, or it's just not interesting to me and I don't know why I keep seeing it. So sometimes those can be a little bit more intrusive for people, but if you're using especially Facebook, you can really pinpoint the audience that sees your paid promotion, and hopefully it's a little bit more targeted. This is just an example, so we're certainly not saying you can't use LinkedIn or Google Plus. If this is where your audience is, Google Plus tends to have more tech people. So if you're a little more, if you're like a software company, you might want to think about using Google Plus instead of using like Pinterest. And it's going to be just like doing something on Facebook. You need to do it pretty regularly. You need to have a couple posts going a week. I would say at least one post a day, and some interaction as well, because it works a lot like Facebook. Again, people can ask questions or comment on your post, so you need to be engaged there. And like I said, with LinkedIn, it is actually, they've made it a little less structured as it used to be, and so there's a little more fun that's going on at LinkedIn, so you can interact with people there as well. And I know for some businesses, LinkedIn is exactly the place they want to be. This is just an example of how to come up with a plan for interacting on your different social networks. So these are some tactics, and these are really some examples of some of the things that I talked about earlier. So using humor can really be effective, and people see these funny pictures go through and they like them or they share them. This one has a lot of people who liked it and a lot of people who shared it. Yesterday I was looking at a picture on my Facebook feed, and it was just a really beautiful picture from my hometown. It had thousands of people who had liked it, and almost 1,000 people shared the picture as well, because it was just a really beautiful picture. And for all the people who don't live there anymore, like me, it was really nice to see everything looking so beautiful, and I think that was why people really interacted with it. So it doesn't have to be humor, but humor can really help get people interested in what's going on with your business and following you. Evoke an emotion, and that beautiful picture that got so many likes and shares yesterday was doing exactly that. Babies, for some reason, definitely have that same impact. We did a test not too long ago on some ads we were doing on Facebook, and the baby picture kept winning, and it was driving everyone crazy because we didn't think it would, but that was the one. So, it doesn't have to be a picture of a baby, but like I said, a beautiful sunrise, a really pretty flower that's blooming somewhere near where you are, something that just gets people to think or feel, can really get a lot of interactions on your social networks. Show what your organization does or your business does. Like I said, the behind the scenes thing are the things that people really like to know what's going on with, especially an organization. If you're a nonprofit, you guys have lots of opportunity to share things that are happening. So sharing pictures doing what you do best can be really good for engagement on social. Show your culture. So this is some VR people making cards. We do volunteer projects every quarter here at VR, and we volunteer at a variety of places. And these are some people doing volunteer events. So show what it's like at your business with pictures. Again, people can really connect to what is going on with the people at a business, and they like to know the people who they're spending their money with. If there's something that's trending on social media, and you can see that, you can see it on Twitter, you can see it on Facebook, they have the trending information, you can get involved. There was a National Dog Day, and so we took a picture of our office dog. He's not really an office dog, but he comes to visit sometimes. He doesn't live here. So Dwight posed nicely, and we shared a picture of him for National Dog Day. But there's all kinds of days out there that you can get involved with. What was it? National Nutella Day? Yes. what's today? On Tuesday, I think it was, I saw lots of pictures of Nutella going through on social media. And you don't have to be selling Nutella to get involved with that, but if you certainly like eating it, have a picture of that and say something like this. So find out what's trending, find out what's happening in the day, and get involved with that. Having a cute picture of a dog doesn't hurt either. Also, if you have customers or donors, if you're a nonprofit, you can show pictures of them. This is Salem Animal Rescue League, and they had pictures of a recently adopted cat, and just showing how happy he is and how happy the people in his house are as well to have him there. So it was a win-win for both of them. But it's kind of fun to see what happens after instead of the before. Often, especially for animal rescues, it's usually before pictures, but showing the after is also great. So, if you're a nonprofit, show what happens after people have donated to your business. Show how people are getting a food basket, or how people are getting help for paying their bills, or whatever it is that you're doing. It makes Again, people feel good. It hits that emotional thing where they can see what's happening, and they also like to see that there's a good outcome to things. So these are some resources. Like I said, there's lots of help out there for you. You do not have to do this by yourself. Our blog has tons of information about doing social media. There's information about getting started with social media, as well as how to do it, when to do it, what to share, all of that stuff. So our blog has all kinds of things, and it's free, so that's always helpful. Social Media Examiner also has lots of great information, and you can sign up for their newsletter as well and get info right in your inbox that can help you do your social. I find it really interesting and helpful. They have lots of great info there. Kim Garst is a person who does a lot on social, and that was one of the logos on the previous slide. So these are a few of the different resources that you can look at. Duct Tape Marketing does a lot of things on social as well, helping people on social. So take a look at some of these. You can also just do a search on your favorite search engine and find information about doing social media as well. So this was just to get you guys started. There are other webinars that we've done if you take a look at our help site or our website, where we kind of go into specifics about using Facebook or using Twitter or using Pinterest. So if you've decided what social networks you're going to be using, then we have additional help for you as well to do those really well. Hopefully this helped you decide what you were going to do and where to start looking for content for your different social networks that you're using.